Hi guys, today we're going to do a live Bitcoin technical analysis as usual on where we are with this mass liquidation event that happened over the weekend. Bitcoin's biggest up till date, or till date as the stats point to that. And then we're going to take that information and just quickly have a look at complacency. There's a few things I want to discuss with you guys regarding complacency, and then how we're going to utilize this regarding alts, because I was bullish on some of these small alts last week, and I'm still bullish on those alts for good reason still. You know, when we reach these ends, these alts tend to pick up. So with Bitcoin doing this doesn't necessarily change the short-term outlook. It's just the macro. It's actually lining up more with the macro views that we had. Okay. So in the live stream today, good morning, Renee. Good morning, Stanku. Stanku is, buddy, I hope you're not feeling like that forever. Don't worry. The nice thing is with trading, we can make money up and down, where spot holders can only make money on the way up. And that's why trading is a necessary. Okay. Batali, bad Monday morning, everyone. No, change the mind. Change the mind. You need to be positive, guys. So let's quickly have a look at Bitcoin, and then we're going to talk liquidations. Okay. Now, I'm actually not going to use Bitcoin as an example for that. I want to use my Cardano long-term swing long, and just explain to you guys briefly what these liquidations mean for us. Okay. Because, I mean, look at these BNB. Look at how these pivots just, it's crazy. People got wrecked. I feel for you. But let's have a look at Cardano real quick. This thing went all the way back to 30 cents. Crazy. Okay. Now, a little bit of a history lesson here real quick. Where did I buy my Cardano for the bull market? I bought it at 34 cents. Bought it right there. Stop below that level. Now, what happens is typically, and for this example, I'm just going to say I buy $1,000 of Cardano on leverage, which means if I take a 10x trade, it means that I only need to put up $100 worth of equity. That's then timed by 10, which gives me my 1K buying of Cardano. That's a very badly drawn K, but I think it gets to the point. If my mouse just wants to stop jumping around, guys, but this thing is skewed and old, but it just does the job. I don't want to change it. It's part of me. So I've learned to live with this thing jumping around as opposed to buying a new one. And in any case, so there's your 1K. So now what happens is, if this thing then moves up and your equity, which at this stage is $100, turns to $200, which means all that needs to happen is that this 1K needs to go up 10% in price for this to happen. So there we are, 34. I mean, 10%. Let's mark it out. Let's just make it simple. Mark it out on the chart. 10% in price sits over there. Okay. Now 10% in price, give or take a few percentages. What this then means is I can move my theoretical stop, which was now below these levels. I'm going to mark it out as a stop limit line. I can then move that stop to that 10% level. And technically, that $100 equity that is given or used to pay for the loan has now been covered by the fact that there is $100 worth of profit on the loan already, which means now I can withdraw my $100, or I can use my $100 for something new. And that's what most people do when we're in the bear market bottom. We start buying these entries in, and we're trying to build these lows so that we can see that, that banana season. Who's to say that, this buy wasn't the same as that buy? Okay. Who at that stage was to say? So now the liquidations happen not because of some sinister force out there or Trump out there. If you want to prescribe to those things, guys, in the end of the day, it's always going to be negative, the information you're going to receive. So look at the liquidations. I don't know what Trump's going to tweet, so I'm never going to win the system. So it immediately puts you on the back foot. So rather take a different view to this and say, right, the liquidations will happen eventually, and this is how it's going to happen. Okay. So what happens is now all these positions, as time goes on, occur swap fees. And these swap fees are like 0.3% every day, but they start adding up. And around this point here, when we were at these lows at 55, the $100 that I made equity at this stage, around that point, I needed to put that back because the fees from this entire weight chewed that up. Meaning, if there was any more fees, the exchange would have liquidated my position in any case, saying that, well, we cannot afford you owing us money. So we look at the order book, we look at what's available on the order book, and we look at your size. And indirectly, the exchange then does the maths with their computers and just says, well, if I don't sell you now, I'm gonna be the one carrying the loss, and that's never going to work. So I'm going to sell you now. I'm going to forcibly liquidate this position. And that's what happens. Now, the same is what happened with a lot of these coins now, meaning guys were holding on to their positions, holding on to their positions, holding on to their positions. And as fees are adding, I mean, this is adding additional equity not to get liquidated. If you didn't add any equity again, more time went by, what happens? Price got to a point where the exchange forcibly had to close people out of their positions purely because they were holding them for forever. I don't know how long they were holding them. And if they've withdrawn their equity, moved it over somewhere else, or have that spent on other trades, at the end of the day, there's nothing backing that debt. And that's what happens here. Forced liquidations. Okay. So bad. It is bad, but it's a part of the game, guys. People do that. That's how you're trying to exploit long-term moves. Okay. So yes, that's the one way that it can get liquidated. Now, there's many other ways, but that is typically what happens with these long moves. So I created a tweet and I said to the guys, this is typical end of a wave kind of tweet, a kind of action. What do I mean by that? Well, what happened there? Mass liquidation. What happened there? We had mass liquidations. Okay. And so normally when you're near the end of a wave, mass liquidation, the market needs to empty the boat or the bus before we can move. So it's emptied now. Now it's on us just to decide in which direction the new trend or the trend is going to take. And this is the next phase of the stream. Okay, so we're about 8 minutes in. I hope that then makes sense or makes you feel a little bit better about positions that maybe got squeezed a bit. If so, let's put a positive note on it and give each and every one of ourselves a lucky 777. Okay, come on, guys, let the comment section run. Let's see. Baldy Air, hello, my friend. Give me a 777. Let's see if you're ready for today and for what the week's going to bring. Now, for me, the big thing was up till last week when we made a new all-time high, I explained to you that we're slowing in momentum for Bitcoin big picture. And while this is not a bad sign, it becomes a bad sign if we lose that pivotal support level. So this was our initial pivot, okay, which is support. And then that was the next one. And this was the most recent one. And when we lose that level, 119, things are going to change. Okay. I actually went online with you guys and I took a trade with you guys when we tested 119 and I tried to get that through to at least 123. It didn't go so well, didn't get so much, didn't get 123 exactly, but we were able to get at least at 122 thereabout last week. Okay, thereabout. So let's switch this now. There's the 4 hour. So there we were. I bought on the blue line. Where did we go? 122.4. So I managed to walk away with some profit, but not necessarily all the gains that I wanted to see at 123. Let's take this back to the weekly time frame quick. So with all that in mind, for me, the big thing now is wicks like these tend to get filled. And I normally say tend to get filled and some, or tend to get filled, and then there's a continuation. And there's two ways, two things that need to happen for me to say A or B. Filled and some, meaning then we're going to go lower, or filled and then a continuation. Then we're going to go higher. And this is the critical two things to differentiate between that. And you can now use this on your alts to see which ones are strong and which ones are weak, to define what you want to do with them going forward. So the first one is, if we do a mass liquidation event, like we had there, this wasn't one for the record books. It wasn't a Trump Swan event, or anything like that. But the key here is, when you have that liquidation event, the next week or the next candle is important. We need to stay above the close of the liquidation event. If we do that, statistically, it's not a guarantee, but statistically, the chances now becomes really good that we will test 50% of the wick, and that's your buy for continuation of the big trend. Meaning, if this week ends up being very good for us and we end up closing, say, still below 119, but we close above where that wick ends, it means that there's strength within this area. The market is showing support for price. And then we can use this wick to start looking for buys, say at 108, thereabout. But here's the other side of this. If we close on the wrong side of it, so there's a good example of just the same thing. Liquidation event, the price buys it back up. Remember, we shorted these highs. Okay, bought it right back up, looks really great. Okay, and what did we do? We closed below it. So we didn't close above that closing of the previous week. We closed lower than that. What happens? We made lower lows. Now, the extreme of how low these will be or how high these would be, I mean, the data doesn't really support any of that. I can't give you, if it does end up like this, we're going to go moon, or if it does end up like this, we're going to barely make a lower low and then still go on higher. That I don't have, but all I do have is that statistically, this is how it does play out for me. So from a price action point of view, what we want to wait for, we want to wait and see before we make harsh decisions on everything, is simple. We just want to see whether we can stay above this wick, and we want to stay above this candle close. I mean, wick in this area is great, but the weekly close needs to be above 114.8. And if it does, we can dream big, okay? If not, we need to start thinking about reducing risk to our altcoins. Okay, so I'm going to mark this line out as, I don't really know what to call this, maybe, because it is resistance in a way, and it supports not a thou shalt not cross. Maybe we need to make this a new line and then just give it a new name. Make the color, let's make the color teal. Oh, no, that's not teal. Let's go with this light blue. Maybe that would be a good color, and then we'll call this our trend wick support. Now, if I had formal trading education, there would be some terminology from some of the stuff that we could probably apply to this, but because I've learned through experience, I'm making this shit up as it goes, the naming of stuff. So don't judge me on that, okay? Not financial advice, guys. I'm just trader showing you how I go about this. Okay, so back to the comments real quick. Let's see if there's any questions, and then we're going to move over to the altcoins. We're about 14 minutes in. I want to wrap this in about 5 minutes time. I see Mr. Wizard of Alt. Hello, nice to have you here. Good morning, good morning. Here, Peter is giving me my cue because I said I want to try and stay within the timeline because we need to trade after this. After the stream, we're going to go into the Discord and we're going to trade. Link to this is in the video description. And I want to try and chart and get some nice positions in with you guys. So if you want to do that, just head over to the Discord. And if you want to be able to participate in the live trade room, all you need to do is support the channel that is backing your trades. Get your Bybit account today. And if you've got an existing one, you can still transfer your KYC to a new one regarding this. It takes like 5 minutes, guys. And all that information is available in the Discord or on the Bybit website. Okay, so you can do that very simple. And the way that you do that, head over to the Discord, get the role, and then ask for the Bybit role. There you go. Okay, simple as that. It's going to open a one-on-one chat. I'll verify your account. I'll give you all the access that you would need. And as a bonus, you get the buddy indicator. Okay, so there you have that. Okay, so to get to the comments real quick, and then we're going to start looking at your alt. Let's quickly see. There's a few questions. What does Loopy Tunes have to say today? Thank you for the liquidation explanation. This is the first time I've heard anything like this all weekend. Well, I'm happy that that was of some help for you, my friend. Let's see. No other questions. No other necessary questions. Okay, that seems that everybody's on par, or they scared shitless. Fear is a thing that basically tells you from past experiences, you screwed up, you screwed up, you screwed up. Your account's not growing, you screwed up. So, and then you immediately start doubting yourself and not acting when there's necessary need to act. So you need to forgive yourself, move on, which is another mindset thing. It's Mindset Monday today, it seems to be. But it's necessary stuff. It's stuff that I learn and stuff that I struggle with as well. I'm still holding some Celestia, guys. I'm still holding some OP. I mean, I didn't sell everything. I didn't say that I'm selling everything. I did sell my Bitcoin. And yes, you can argue you were a genius. But remember, I sold not with the assumption that I knew that there was going to be a mass liquidation event. So I cannot credit this and say I called it, because nobody can call the stuff. It's just the way it works. It's just everybody got to a point. This market got so truncated and squashed into an area, or not truncated, but squashed into an area that this happens. Okay, so for the altcoins, now let's head over to the altcoins real quick. We can speculate over whether the dominance is going to bring us any relief, or how the dominance is going to act, on how the USDT is going to act, and so forth. But at the end of the day, support and resistance still remains true. Now, the argument was, I said this to you guys prior, that the dominance, if it was a coin, needed to move into this imbalance, because it was still a bullish coin by itself, which meant that Bitcoin needs to lose momentum. The dominance needs to break trend and confirm a bearish momentum before we can even get to that alt season. Now, I am guilty of this. I've been screaming alt season as well, maybe too many times, crying wolf, because it did look at some stages that some of them were doing really well, and some alts did do really well, guys, for their momentarily move. But that alt season that I've bought everything, I can just sit back and let the money come to me, that kind of alt season we haven't seen yet for this reason. So what happened with the dominance? And let's do a brief retake on that one. We had on the RSI the two created at these levels over here on the RSI, somewhere around that range. And this means that this would be the local top. So if that's the two, somewhere these highs, this thing cannot go below that level for continuation. So the way that I looked at this, either that's the 4, meaning that this is the 5th, and now we're breaking the trend, or this is the 4. So, I mean, I don't know where we're at, but in both scenarios, between 57 and 55%, that's going to be support for the dominance, which means your alts around that area, they're going to be not looking good. Okay. And what we then said is, there's an imbalance. When this dominance broke down and we started getting that early sign for alt seasons here, things start firing off. We created an imbalance. It was so quick. It turned around so quick. It created an imbalance. And it meant that price needed to, or the dominance needed to, go to that imbalance just to sweep people off the book, which it did. The liquidations did just do that. It wrecked a hell of a lot of people, took them out of the market, and now we want to see the trend continue. So what do we have? No lower lows just yet, but we do have this wick now. And just like I just explained to you for Bitcoin on the weekly, the next weekly dominance candle is also going to be significant for us now. Because what needs to happen is we need to close below that wick now at 59%. Then we will still probably see this thing go up, but then that would be the sell for a lower low, or the time to buy your alts. Okay. And if this thing closes above it means it's not a good time to buy alts because we will probably then keep on trending higher. And then we will take things level by level as it goes. Okay, so now you've got your sentiment indication. You understand where we are with Bitcoin. You know what to look for. You can now take this information and start looking and waiting on alts, because complacency has a problem, guys. I actually tweeted this out. Let's see if I've got my Twitter page open. And I want to talk to you guys about this complacency thing. Okay, so let's reload this page because it didn't load. I'm going to take a sip of water, and I want to read what I Want to Be a Trader has to say. Market can't reward everyone. You need to understand that. And that's fucking wise words. Wise words, if ever there was. The market cannot reward everybody. I love it. I love it, buddy. Okay. So let me quickly talk to you guys about this. Complacency is a problem. We find complacency near the end of any bull market, and the way that looks, let me just see. I don't have an educational tab open. Let me just quickly load this because I need this little screen. Okay, so what we find is that complacency actually lives there, lives there, lives there, lives there as well. There's smaller complacencies on all these things. So complacency is that we just need to cool off. There will be another rally. I don't need to worry about measuring my risk, putting myself in perspective, or putting my portfolio, reanalyzing or reanalyzing my portfolio and adjusting to see whether I'm still okay if something happens. That's complacency. So it's a simple emotion that basically says, I'm good, no need to worry. Okay. And what that does when we look at, let me just get back to this chart. When we can do it here. What complacency does is it creates, and this is actually where I want it to be. It creates these typical traps that you need to avoid going forward. Okay. The first one is buying back too soon. So I sold Bitcoin at 125K. Thereabout, my spots. I don't own a lot of spot anymore. Okay. So for me, this liquidation event, amazing feeling. Said it to you guys, and I also said to you guys, I might be the one regretting this for doing this. You can vouch for that when we look at all the previous streams. And please do give me a 111 if you, from the OG viewers, if I am telling truth or I'm manufacturing these statements. Okay. So selling these stops means now that you feel like you've done something right. Complacency means, in complacency, people want to buy back now. Oh, look, I've made this amount of Bitcoin more if I buy back. No, don't try and wait, because what will happen is any trade will have a structure. There will be an invalidation. There will be a reason. There needs to be a trend that gets broken. Everybody needs to agree. The moving averages need to line up. Everything needs to line up before the people are going to start kicking in on this. So 4-hour time frame, I can do this. Let's maybe switch this to a clean BTC chart. Let's have a look at this. Remember the trend scope indicator on that example. So when we analyze the market short term, this indicator is free. Just Google and go and load it off. I created it for you guys. It gives you short term, long term, all the various ways to look at the market. Short term wise, on the 4-hour, Bitcoin is in a mess because if your moving averages, if your red isn't at the top, your green is in the middle and your white's below, that's trending bearish like this. Okay. Red, green, white. Now you're bearish. Okay. Red, green, white. Now you're bullish. Okay. If they are blended, short-term wise, the market's in disarray, doesn't know what it wants to do. The same then will play on the long-term market. So all I just done is I created the screenshot, but now we're on the long-term. Same thing plays on the long-term. So this is your swing positions. So once your stuff lines up, that's when you buy long-term. Green, white above green, green above red. Now you're in a long-term bullish trend and you stay above it. Once it starts getting this, things become uncertain. So where we're at right now, long-term even, Bitcoin on this 4-hour time frame is confused. And all these TAs, so the point that I'm trying to make, so this, we can look at the trading ranges. This is now the Bollinger Bands, okay? The Bollinger Band is a big bubble. Nobody touches it when you're using the Bollinger Band in a big bubble. You're waiting for this thing to squeeze because that's when the move is going to happen. So from their point, those guys are saying, I don't know what to do now. Okay. And then we can start moving on to, we can look at the volume-based momentum. There's so many other different chart and analysis out there that now needs to move up and start lining up. This is the Kettner bands, which is basically like a Bollinger and an Ikimoko hybrid kind of thing. Okay, so all these things need to line up in order for people to start feeling comfortable. Okay, so wait, don't buy back too soon. Let that play out, then act. Okay. The second thing that I want to talk, 25 minutes, we're about to almost end up. Okay. The second thing I want to talk is using Bitcoin as a sentiment indicator. So typically we would say, well, Bitcoin is the rising tide that rises all the ships. Okay. And, but now what we need to do is you need to start looking at each one of your alts and start drawing clear lines in the sand. Remember my sell for Solana? I said sell Solana at 240. That's me getting out. I'm done with Solana at 240. People might agree, people might disagree with that. Let's quickly load the Solana chart. Now, I'm just going to go to a clean chart. Why did I sell at 240? I said, any upside from this point onward is no longer going to be locked in upside. So the longer term play would be Solana is done, and now it's going to migrate to 177, which it did. Okay. Now, complacency says, well, then buy. But the complacency trap is, if you were to buy there now and Bitcoin has all the danger signs print on the weekly, like I explained in the beginning of the video, we're going to go lower still. So why the hell do I need to buy now? Just because there's a support doesn't mean that it's support that's going to last indefinitely. We need to wait. Okay. So that is the second point of this thing. So don't use Bitcoin as a sentiment indicator, because great fundamental coins needs technical analysis for you to make a good decision. You need both, because Bitcoin in the previous bull market top was still a great fundamental play, just like Solana was, and but it didn't mean that they won't drop considerably. Okay, so remember that. Now, this is the nice and the biggest trick that happens in the market, is mistaking the next big alt, COAI. Oh, I was so bullish on this thing last week. Just wanted to buy that. And it just kept on going now. So I don't even know what is the price point of this thing now. We were looking at it at $7, $6. We're trying to go long on this. It's at $9. So clearly the market has to be bullish, because, I mean, how is it that this thing is pumping? So this is a complacency trap that happens. Just because the new hot altcoin is making all-time highs doesn't mean that this is a sign that all is well. Because complacency is that trap. It just tells you that you can throw caution to wind. Just wait, your coin will pump as well. Don't let that happen to you guys. Okay. And that's basically the spiel for the whole of today. Let's head over to the comments. Let's quickly see what else we have. Mr. Wizard of Alt, let's see what I was very interested to see it unfold, especially with the levels we say for the weekly and the daily closes. We kept in line with what to expect. Now, Wizard of Alt, guys, we actually want to bring him onto the stream. I'll ask him. I'll ask him if he wants to come and chat with you guys. He's a fellow trade buddy. We've got a little trade group, and we were looking at this. So really capable guy, and thanks for watching the video. I think it did highlight how little natural liquidity there is for some alts, though, and the little warning sign. Yes, and that is the case. We need to make sure that we protect ourselves from these kind of things, because people will have these orders. It's just human nature. Okay. And let's see what else we have. Orange Man absolutely destroyed me. Yeah, maybe it was the orange dump. Okay. The orange tariff liquidation. We need to find something around that. But that was a good one. Okay. So to round us off with some altcoin charts. Okay. Solana real quick. This was the long-term play that I shared with you guys. We labeled that as a 5. And I said, well, now we probably need to start building a bigger move. But on the weekly time frame, there's nothing here nor there at this stage. So your long-term swing plays not going to help you much. Okay, so what needs to now happen is for us to start thinking about being bullish again. We need to now look at this entire move as maybe a 1. That would be uber bullish. Then we still need to go test some of these ranges lows. And it's too soon to tell, because one mass candle doesn't make a trend, guys. Okay. One mass candle. Everybody was bullish there, but it didn't make anything. We need more data. And that's going to be the play. And your smaller altcoins, like KMNO. I mean, I'm heavily bullish at KMNO. We grabbed the liquidity. Now what's going to happen? What's the difference? we closed below that. So the argument is we will go and grab the liquidity and then continue on the trend. Now we need to get the same play here. Okay, we need to close the weekly above where the liquidation level was. If that then does, then we can get a longer term play. So let these alts kind of just tell the picture for you. The ones with the least amount of liquidation probably has the deeper order book, has more liquidity in them. Peter explained to me that some alts went to zero almost. That's crazy. Mantle, Bybit. I mean, you were sitting, if you bought something at 2.7 and it was 1.2, that's a 50% dump on the day. That's a crazy feeling, okay? For me, that was 5. We're near the end. And the fact that we kept on pushing higher just exaggerates that euphoria feeling. So now we need to wait for this thing to kind of just capture it out. It will come back to these lows at $1.40, find some support, and then move it on. Okay, let's run it soon, Ludo. Yes, there we go. Wizard, we'll make it happen this week if we can. Okay. So we're gonna get him on the stream this week. Let's see what he has to say. He's big on BNBs, guys. So we need in the BNB market. And funny enough, let's quickly have a look at that before we end off the stream. 30 minutes in, I wanna call it now. BNB strong as one, 5% on the day, pushing new all-time highs. Okay. So BNB, gold, these kind of things, it's just going to be the same thing. I mean, this was 800. Now you want to say, who was the guy that bought there? Nobody bought there, guys, because there wasn't enough volume there. That was because somebody probably got liquidated and the exchange was forced to find an order to pair with that sale. Okay, that's this. Okay, simple. Maybe there was a lucky guy there. Obviously, there needs to be buyers for there, but it's not a meaningful get 100K and put it in there and wait for the buy. Okay. None of that was there. Okay, so yeah, BNB pushing strong. So we're looking at Cake, we're looking at some of these coins, and Wizard, maybe we must try and get it in tomorrow because he knows a hell of a lot of these coins. I'm looking at the coin 4 at the moment. It's not on this list. Let's quickly have a look at that. Their launch pad. There's not a lot of data here. We'll do that tomorrow. Let's end of the stream. There's enough that we did. Aave went to $80. Yes. Support was 300. Remember, we said, Aave, stay above 300. We like it. Fall below 300. That's it. Look at that liquidation. People got wrecked, guys. I feel for them. I really do. It's not fair. Okay. So let's see. Will they fall these crazy wicks? Maybe this is the altcoin Black Swan event that will ignite the alt season, guys. Just like Bitcoin when it dumped, the COVID crash when Bitcoin went to 3,000 from the 15,000. That was the big crash there. Maybe that's it. We need that flush. We need that emptiness. So that's it. And maybe I must recant my bearish thesis saying that 125 is the top. What we need to do then, if that's the case, is just take things level by level. So we will buy when there's support and we will sell when there's resistance and let the market do the thing. Thanks so much. 188 people joining in live today. Obviously, after a dump day, people are quiet. Please do me a solid. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share the content to a fellow friend that's maybe suffering in the trenches with you and so forth. Give them a more neutral look at what happened, what's the future, and that it's not over and that it's not doomsday just yet. We can take things and we can build from here. All right. And then make sure to join me in the Discord, guys, as I will be trading live with everybody in a few hours' time. I'm just going to quickly, for the private members, throw out my market tactics for the week. Okay. There you have it. Bibi, Stanko. The rest of you guys have a lovely day. Cheers.